I don't know, the topple just down the airplane.
He's great, dude.
Yeah, I know.
All right, ready. I'd like to call this July 16th meeting of the Cookeville City Council to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Anderson,
Present.
Councilman Shelton,
Here.
Mayor Salee,
Present.
Vice Mayor Davis,
Present.
Councilman Williams,
Present.
all present.
All present. If we could all rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right. Item 1, consider approval of agenda as presented. Do we have any additions or corrections, Mr. Shipley?
Need to add item 6, consider appointment to the hospital board, sponsor Councilman Shelton.
All right. Seeing no other additions or corrections, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have our second. All vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right. That brings us to item 2 in our old business. Consider approval of minutes of council meeting held July the 2nd, 2009. Do we have a motion and a second to approve those minutes?
Move approval. Second.
We have our motion and our second. Are there any comments or corrections that need to be made to the minutes? Seeing no comments, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Item 3, consider on second and final reading ordinance 090608, rezoning properties between West 5th and 7th Streets and North Cedar Avenue and Mailer Avenue from MS Medical Services and CL Local Commercial to UNV University zoning. Sponsor Mr. James Mills.
Mayor and council members, location of these properties depicted on the screen. The ordinance rezones 23 properties from MS and CL to UNV University. The rezoning has been approved by the Planning Commission, is recommended by the Planning Department, and we've received no calls or comments since first reading.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mills. Do we have a motion and a second to approve on second reading?
Move approval.
We have our motion and our second. Any discussion or comments by the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing no comments, all vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Mills. New business portion of our meeting. We have three items here. Item 4, consider authorizing the city manager to execute an engineering contract amendment to the South Cookeville Hudgens Creek Sewer Project. Sponsor Mr. Ronnie Kelly.
Mayor and council, there's really 3 parts to this. One of them is recommending a new contract, and the other 2 parts are amendments to a current contract. Let me go over what I'm referring to. The first part is enter into a new contract with CTI, our consulting engineers on this project, that would incorporate a SCADA system to replace our existing antiquated system. We believe we can include this system in the Hudgens Creek Revolving Loan Fund project, which would allow us to take advantage of those low interest rates and that principal forgiveness part of the program. We've negotiated a price of $25,000 for this to design and would recommend approval. What that's going to do is, this is the water plant, wastewater plant, then all these dots, the blue dots are water tanks, the red dots are wastewater pumping stations, and there's a couple of water booster stations that are not showing up on there. But those communicate back to either our operations center, all the wastewater pumping stations, or the water tanks. They communicate back to our water plant. What's happened over the years, the system we currently have was put in 1983. It's a Motorola system. Currently, we've got about 40% of the systems out, and we can't. If you replace, you have RTUs out on the system that monitor, that send the information back. You can't buy those units anymore. So we've been trying to get them repaired and fixed, and we've been able to do that. But now if you have to you can buy a new one, but it doesn't work with our system. The system's proprietary, and so you've got to go. So what we're looking at, we've been looking at it, it's been in our budget since 2002, 3, and I think 4, we had like 120,000 in one year and 120 in the next year, and then we had 200 in the next year. And we sort of got to the point of technology. Some satellite stuff came on the market, and we kept bouncing around, which was the best way to go. We finally sort of settled in on back to sort of a radio what we've had. And so we wanted to try to get this into the product. But what I was trying to say was about 40% of our system's out. And we really need to do something. So we thought maybe this is a good time to go ahead and get this in this program. We think that it'll be eligible for this program. Maybe the water system won't, but the pump stations will. At least the backbone of the system will be. I've talked to Mike Davison a little bit. He's got some gas issues too. I've talked to the engineer about that. It may be something we can all go in together, or he use upon our system. So it's something I'd recommend we do. The second part is an amendment to our current contract. Let's see what this was. I think this was the okay. This was the $5,000 additional, because when we first did the contract, when we first signed the contract back in 2007, we had thought about using SRF money, but we thought we weren't going to. When stimulus money came about, it became attractive to do it. In the contract, there were some provisions in the contract that some of those SRF requirements were not going to be covered under our engineering contract, and if we ended up deciding to do it, we'd have to open up the contract and do that. Back in, I think it was 2001 or something, we did a contract with an SRF fund. We paid $20,000 at that time to do that. Part of that, the big cost is a report that you have to do. It's a 201 amendment update. Barry Turner in-house decided he wanted to do that himself. That's the biggest cost of it. So he's done that. We've sent that to the state, but there's other requirements of that program that has to be performed by the design engineer. So we would recommend, we think it's a fair price for doing that. We'd recommend that amendment. The last amendment is a change on another portion of there to add $8,000 to go in, and what this will do is we've moved that pump station around 2 or 3 times. We finally settled in and acquired the property for that station. Hudgens Creek is up in here, the station side's here, and what you're going to see is this big cut here going into it. The design's going to vertically bore this section and horizontally bore this section. And what we'd like to do is contract through the engineer to get borings from this portion in, provide that to the contractor to let them know exactly what's there. We think, our engineer tells us, we've seen it before, we think it will save us money as long as everybody knows they're not trying to protect themselves and guess what's there and what they're going to get into. It's such deep cuts that it's going to be a mess. So we think that's a good option to do. We did it down at the water plant on those lagoons that we did. We did borings up there and did it the same way. We did it during the intake project. There was some engineering specialty work, and we run it through the engineering contract, let him deal with that and take their information, then get it in the engineering contract documents. And I'd recommend your approval on all of those.
Okay. Do we have a motion and a second to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have our motion and our second. So let me just clarify, Ronnie. You got 25,000, 5,000, and 8,000. So you're looking
Yes.
at 38,000 total.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the 25 would be a separate contract. The other 2 are amendments to our current.
Current contract.
And the 25 is so that we can determine what the cost is going to be for this other system?
No, it would be design. It would be design the system and get it in the contract, administer it, try to buy it all through the contract, bid it through the contract, and all of that. Get it designed and put in.
But this doesn't buy the system.
No, the
Right.
system's going to run $200,000 or $300,000 when you get the whole system complete.
It's just design.
And we're doing this because there's a 40%, an area of representing about 40% that we don't have
Current coverage.
current for our measuring system.
Yeah, we're sort of blind 40% of our stations. And that's just, and we've gradually went from 10% to 20%, and we've been trying to figure out what to do, and now we've sort of jumped up here in the last year a little bit higher, and it's something we've got to correct.
And this is a 20-foot diameter vertical tunnel.
Yes. Well, the vertical is going to be for the wet well. Basically, is drill it instead of blast it out, and instead of excavating all that. We're close to Hudgens Creek. It'll be a lot more.
It's not 20 feet in diameter. It's
Is it
20 feet deep, right?
No, it's about 38 foot. It is a 20-foot. I can't read the screen from here.
Right here, look at there.
There's right here it says 20-foot vertical. I think it is because it's going to be the wet well.
Oh, okay. So that's not the boring itself.
No.
You're
Well,
just gonna
no,
you're going to do borings in this area for 8
We're
grand.
going to bore straight down, to get the substructure to let the contractors know, is it rock, is it clay, what is it?
So how many borings is that? Does it say?
I don't know. I'm not sure how many
The whole
boreholes.
$8,000 is boring.
Up to $8,000.
Okay.
Okay.
But once again, it doesn't include any of the scope of work of construction. This is only for.
The inside of the ceiling.
All of that's already been covered in our current contract.
Okay.
All that's already covered.
Okay. Any further comments by the council? Any comments from the audience? Seeing no further comments, I'll vote.
5 yes votes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Item 5, consider awarding bid for concrete pipe. The Public Works Department, sponsor Mr. Greg Brown.
Mayor and council, we received bids for concrete pipe. We received one bid from Sherman Dixie, and I would recommend awarding that.
All right, do we have a motion and a second to approve?
Move approval. Second.
We have our motion and our second. Any discussion by the council? Is there some reason why we only received one bid?
Usually on concrete pipe, that's all we get. Sometimes there's one more company that sometimes will turn in a bid, but usually they don't.
And what are you using this concrete pipe for? Is this like tile?
Storm sewer.
Okay.
It's just as needed basis. We don't use a lot. We don't keep a stockpile, or we don't use it a whole lot. But when we need it,
And this is,
best to already have it.
how long's the bid good for? A year?
1 year.
Any other questions, comments by the council? Seeing no further comments, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Item 6, consider appointments to the Cookeville Regional Medical Center Board of Trustees. Sponsor, Mr. Ricky Shelton. Councilman Ricky Shelton.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to make a motion to appoint David Hatcher to the Cookeville Regional Medical Center Board of Trustees for the 7-year term. I think this is definitely one of the more important things. I know the rest of the council feels like this too. Is it's our number one asset, and so I would make this appointment for this fine gentleman to serve in that capacity.
Very good. I'll second that appointment nomination and move that nomination cease. Any comments by the council? Seeing no comments, I'll vote.
5 yes votes, motion carries.
All right. Thank you, Councilman Shelton. At this time, we have our hearing of citizens and/or delegations, and we invite you to come and speak for 3 minutes or so. And we've got some guests with us tonight. Anybody like to get up and speak? We'd certainly invite you to.
Mayor and Council, my name is Sean O'Neill, representing the Westside Business Association. I just want to give you our monthly quick update on what we've got going on the West Side. We had our Westside Picks and Grins event on June 19th and 20th. It was a good event, despite the couple of the hottest days that we've had so far this year, which affected turnout a little bit, but we did have the people that showed up really enjoyed it, and the turnout was not bad. It was a success from the standpoint of it achieved what we were looking for, which was a public event, free to the public, and get people walking around and going into the shops, which we had that. So we're going to continue to try to expand that in coming years. You may have noticed if you're walking on the west side that we do have the History Walk up and running now, and we've got 18 of the signs posted on the buildings right now. We've got about 4 or 5 more that we still need to put up and install. And there have already been some feedback from the square about wanting similar things done on the square, so we're kind of working with some of the merchants there. Nothing but positive feedback from the community so far, and you can see people anytime you walk down there or drive down there stopping to look at and read the plaques, and so we appreciate the city's cooperation and help with making that happen for us. We also have had 2 car cruise-ins, Antique Car Club cruise-ins on the west side over on Broad. We appreciate the city's cooperation in closing Broad Street there. And those events have also been pretty successful from a turnout standpoint. Our intent is to continue to have those on a monthly basis throughout the summer, at least on a per-case basis, and just sort of evaluate it as we go. At this point, we don't really see a need to expand it beyond that street that's open at this point, but if the event grows, we will certainly come to you guys and talk about that. Again, positive feedback from the restaurants especially, and some of the other businesses as far as new traffic into their facilities. So again, another positive situation for us. And then the next item I wanted to ask about was the truck traffic petition that we brought to the council. I guess it was earlier this year. Just wanted to see what the status of that is. We're getting members calling us and telling us that the truck traffic is still pretty significant on the west side, all sizes of trucks and all kinds of companies. So at some point we'd like to engage in a conversation about that issue again and see where we are. We also, I think, mentioned in a previous council meeting a request to have a 3-way stop looked at the corner of Oak and Broad. Couple of reasons. One is safety, just because of the pedestrian-friendly nature of that corner, and also access to the parking lot, the city parking lot that's right there by the depot. If we're going to encourage people to park in that, it's kind of hard to get across. So we'd like to throw that out for consideration as well. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Sean.
Thanks.
You know, I made a point the other day to come through that 3-way. Of course, my truck sits up maybe a little higher. It is a little bit iffy there, but you know, if people drive slow enough, you can make it across. But that parking lot being there, if nothing else, maybe we need a crosswalk or something over towards the, like maybe across to the, and maybe there is one. I didn't notice it, but across to the gas department, and then they can walk down Broad to the
Crosswalk really needs to be at where there is a stop sign, though.
Well, there's some on North Dixie there where there's not stop signs.
Yeah, I know. I just said needs to be.
Well, that's definitely something we need to keep looking at, and sounds like you guys are doing some great events. I know, I guess the Picks and Grins was there around the time of the 100th celebration parade at the depot, which brought a lot of people. It was interesting to me that when that parade when people in the parade got to the depot, they thought they just stopped. So all the rest of the parade was like backing up. It took a while to get it was kind of a mess there for a minute, but we got it worked out. But it sounds like you guys have got some good things going in the west side, and we appreciate you all coming and keeping us informed.
Well, definitely, I went to the, was it Pick and Grin?
Mm-hmm.
That was a very enjoyable, even though it was very hot. There were a lot of people there, and I think the thing that I enjoyed the most about it, there were a lot of people there that don't usually come out. And I appreciate that you're diversifying the folks that get out and come to our restaurants and to our shops and spend their money right here in Cookeville, Tennessee. And the more we can do that, the better it is for everybody.
And that's I'm not sure if there's an association. I should know maybe, but you mentioned the square. The businesses there were interested in, and there are some new restaurants and things going on up around the square. It's nice to know that, you know, really our downtown area is staying alive.
Yeah, there is not currently an association formalized for the square merchants, but some of them are getting mobilized and working with Cityscape to try to get some of their concerns heard through that vehicle.
Very good, very good. All right. Any other citizens indoor delegations?
Mayor, I'd like to, time's coming upon us here in about 3 weeks, my wife and I, and with the help of the Leisure Service Department, putting on the After Dark series of events again on August the 7th and 8th. We'd like to invite you guys to come out. It's an 8K road race this year. We had last year, had a little over 480 people there. It's a great way to raise money for the park. We raised a little over $15,000 last year. We've added a couple of things for the race events for that weekend. This year we've added a kids fun run. It's free to children. Abby and I just want to encourage people to get their kids off the sofa and get them to walk or run. And so you just be walking down Dixie, be closed. They walk down to what was the old varsity, which is MMA now. Turn around and come back. That's a mile. And the kids get a free T-shirt the night of the race. That's August 8th. And also on Friday night, August the 7th, we're doing our first movie in the park. The movie, I cannot tell you what it is, but I can tell you it just went out of theaters. I can tell you a couple of weeks before the event, but it'll be at dusk at the park. It's a big inflatable 25 by 35 screen. It's free to the public. Boy Scouts are going to be helping me sell concessions to try to raise some money, and we will pass the plate, if you will, and try to get some contributions out of you to make sure these things still happen. But I'd like to thank a lot of our local businesses that have sponsored that. It's a very difficult time this year, and J&S and the hospital and Frontier was a big supporter for us this year, and we're very thankful for that and Sam's participation in that. And so we're really excited. We think it's a good way to invite families out. So I know I took more than 3 minutes, so I apologize for that. But we'd love to see you guys come out. Early registration ends on Tuesday for the 8K road race. So I've got a friend at Adidas. We were able to get some Adidas running shirts this year, so it's a really good event. So we'd love you to walk or to run, but if you walk, you just have to get out of the way for some of these people. They're pretty serious about running.
And you were on the cheerleading stations, didn't you?
I was going to say,
Yeah.
I'll cheerlead. I'm not going to be
Alma,
walking or running.
I'm not going to invite anybody to Alma's party because she'll end up having too many people. But last year we had people that had parties on the Dixie Road race route there. We're encouraging the Dixie patrons to have parties, cookouts, homemade ice cream socials, that kind of thing. Invite people out, and you can cheer the runners on. So Alma and Bruce throw an unbelievable after dark party. So
we cheered him on.
yes,
And he cannot tell you what the movie in the park will be because it is family oriented, but he can tell you it will not be Bruno or The Hangover.
yeah.
Those will not be the movies that
It
will
is
be
a
shown
very
in the park.
family-oriented movie. It was one of 2 years ago's. I can tell you this. It's a sequel to a very important movie that kids love. So it just came out in theaters. So I can tell you that. So it's a great family movie. So we'd love to have you there. We'd like to pack out the amphitheater seatings there and try it out for the first time. So
Very good.
Phil, this Monday night, I think, is a community band plays.
Yeah.
So
I forgot about
would
that,
it be another Monday night? Be another time to try out those tier seating.
Yes, just
Arrangements.
another free event in a downturn of economy. We're just here to serve, right?
That's right.
Here to serve.
I'd just like to add too, and I'm gonna put Rick on the spot again, but we cut the ribbon tonight at the newly renamed CPAC, Cookeville Performing Arts Center, formerly known as the Drama Center. The construction work that's been ongoing for, I don't know, a few months is finally done. It looks really nice. You should stop if you have time and walk up. The Music Man is opening up tomorrow night. It'd be a great opportunity to come and see the play and also see the new renovations to the new CPAC. It looks really good. I don't know if you have any comments you want to make. Rick made some really nice comments over there today, but if you have time, stop and take a look at that. It looks really nice over there. Greg Stamps and his group, and it was Mid-State Construction that did the work, did a really good job over there. Any other comments from the council? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you.